But here's the thing. So I did all this in honor of like her 100th birthday. And I realized we don't know anything about her. Like nobody gives two shits to learn.
She was murdered.
No, not that well, of course, you conspiracy theorist. And we got that out of the way early, Jeanette. Thank you very much. Murder mystery. No, there's so much more to this woman. I'm going to argue that was a character she played her entire life. She put on the character in the morning when she woke up. That's how good she really was. So when I went down this rabbit hole, it was insane. So stick with us because here's what we're going to dive into today. First, we're going to learn the real backstory of who Marilyn Monroe really was and why she spent all her free time, Amanda, studying philosophy at UCLA and reading Tolstoy. Huh. Yes, there's a lot here. Okay, second, the 4 moves she made that were genuinely radical for her time, like in the 1940s and 1950s, that most of us never even cared to learn about because we're all just staring at her picture somewhere. And finally, what this all says about us and the way we consume women and whether we've actually gotten any better at it in 2026.
I'm going to say no.
I'm kind of agreeing with you.
No?
After this whole thing, I kind of am agreeing with you. Yeah. And on that note, welcome to another episode of Sorta Sophisticated, the podcast where culture, curiosity, and chaos collide. I'm Pete, and with me, as always, driving me nuts is Amanda.
What would you do without me?
Hi, Amanda.
Hello, everyone.
I don't know what I would do without you. I would probably fold this podcast, number 1. 2, I would never have any more parties. That would just, my party planner's gone. 3, I probably wouldn't go on vacations anymore.
That's not true.
Right? Who am I traveling with? You're my travel buddy.
Well.
4, no more therapy. So I don't even know who'd be.
We would lose a lot. Our life would be very boring without each other.
Well, my life would be very. No. You would have. I would argue yours would get much more enhanced.
No.
Mine, maybe, on the other hand.
Agree to disagree.
You're being very nice.
There we go.
All right. So our official title today, if you haven't been following, is Marilyn Monroe, the most seen, least known woman in history, because I think she might be the only person in Hollywood who's figured out that being underestimated was actually the strategy. That is my whole Jedi mind trick today.
Okay.
It was her weapon. And you're like, Amanda, you're going to be blown away. Trust me. This is going to be like Miles Davis. You're going to be blown away by the end of this.
I mean, I am actually really excited because, again, I can't remember what it was, but like she had popped up somewhere.
It's coming.
And it was just talking about Marilyn Monroe and.
Yep. Every streaming service is going to be going bonkers.
Little like tidbit, right? Is there a show coming out or something?
It's the whole month of June. They're going to be replaying all of her stuff, right? Every movie she's ever made.
But it was about Men Like Blondes or something like that.
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Yes.
Gentlemen Prefer Blondes.
Right.
Yeah.
They were talking about that,
yeah.
right? And how she was not paid a lot of money.
Oh, no.
This is all that
this is my point.
Outside of the Happy Birthday, Mr. President, and that iconic photo of her in her dress, the only other thing I've learned, which was recently somewhere, was this Gentlemen's Prefer Blondes, and she got paid significantly less,
a pittance,
than who the brunette was.
Okay, this is one of my like when I said the 4 things she actually did were radical for her time. This is number 1. Oh yeah, totally.
Oh,
yeah.
But I don't even know why. I just listened to a little bit, and I think it was her last interview maybe that she talked about it. I don't even know, but I was then fascinated, and it literally clicked in my head where I was like, I should learn more about Marilyn Monroe, and it went away. And here we are today.
And we're doing
it's like you read my mind.
We're doing
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So this is one of those, like, so I think pop culture relevant because it'll be
absolutely.
in sort of streaming and all the stuff.
Yeah.
And then it was just one of those things where it's like, when would I ever learn about her?
It's true.
And again, more than just learning about some woman or some sex symbol, by the end of this, like I was floored. And to your point earlier, like, are we doing any better in 2026? Spoiler, we're not.
Yeah,
I felt about this big. Oh. Because I'm participating in the whole, so it was one of those freak out moments for me again, which I totally loved. So here we are. What are you going to do?
I'm excited. Let's go. Okay. Well, before we start, what is our word of the week? Is it going to be like, what is that when you like gawk at somebody?
Gawking? I like gawk. Okay. It's not gawk.
Oogly?
We're not playing into this.
Oogly?
We have to not play it. It's not gawk.
Okay.
It's not gawk.
Nothing about gawk. I was trying to make it easy for myself. That's all.
Okay. It's objurgate.
I'm sorry. And you said you're not playing into this?
Objurgate.
Like we objectify something? Is that what objurgate
is?
No,
not at all. Objurgate. No. Objurgate is to criticize or scold harshly.
Oh, interesting.
I objurgate you.
Oh, interesting.
In the name of the law. I don't know. I objurgate my children all the time, right? Like we're objurgating. So it comes from the Latin objurgare. Ob or ob meaning against and jurgare meaning to quarrel or scold. Huh. So if you're objurgating, you're losing your shit on them. That's what
Okay.
usually happens here somewhere in the podcast. So
Okay,
Objurgate
sure.
is it. That's what's happening.
I think you already objurgated at the beginning of this podcast when you scolded me.
I kind of already did.
Okay, here
I
we
know.
are.
It happened. We're done. We just did it just like that.
All right, but before we start, if you like what you're listening to, hit subscribe and follow us. New episodes come out weekly on any of your favorite podcast platforms. Back to our regular scheduled programming. You want to start with the history?
I'm starting with it. We got to do history for this. 'Cause,
Always.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot
She was
going
born
on
in
here.
a little town in
was.
Illinois.
She was born in, no.
No.
She was born in Los Angeles, California.
Was she
Yes,
really?
I don't know why I said it like that, but yeah.
She was born in L.A.
L.A., yeah.
Huh.
Marilyn Monroe, born Norma Jean Mortensen, June 1st, 1926, in Los Angeles, California. Town of the Angels. Did you know her name was Norma Jean?
Well, after you just said Norma Jean,
Yeah.
I just realized I knew like 4 Norma Jeans, and now I need to go ask
Now
them.
you know why, right.
Were they named after Marilyn Monroe?
Do you know Elton John? Candle in the Wind?
Yeah.
Goodbye, Norma Jean.
Oh.
Though I
did not know
never
that.
knew you at all. Yeah, that's
Huh.
it. Totally. Yeah.
Fun fact number 1.
Norma Jean.
Done.
There you go. I love that. Okay. So first, this is how this whole thing starts. Wildest data point ever. No parents. Out of the picture.
She's the orphan?
Yes. Yeah. Functionally. Yes, she was an
But
orphan.
she went to like an orphanage?
Yes, she did. Yeah. So her mom, Gladys Baker, was diagnosed schizophrenic and spent her entire life in mental institutions. So let's just start with that. Dad wasn't around either because it was an affair when Dad decided to do it with Mom, and then he bolted. So she didn't even know Dad. So sort of from the start, she was screwed. So grew up in the foster system
Okay.
and absolutely ended up in an orphanage in Los Angeles. Do you know there is a Los Angeles home for orphans?
I'm sure there's
I
tons
didn't-
of orphanages.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that was a thing. Yes, she stayed in the Los Angeles Home for Orphans. I didn't know that.
Is this when her trajectory kind of went askew because she was bouncing foster home to foster home, and one of the tragic stories we always hear about the foster system?
This is absolutely what happened.
Oh.
Yeah, it fell
So
apart
sad.
quickly. So yeah, so then like I guess fast forward till she was 16, so she's bouncing around, and her last set of foster parents, like on record, were wanted to move out of the state of California, and apparently at that time the foster kids weren't allowed to leave California. Right? I don't know.
That
if
makes
that's,
sense.
I don't know
Yeah,
if that's
yeah.
still a law or not or whatever, but she was like, "This is bullshit." And you would think, arguably, her parents would foster parents would stay with her till she was 18 years old, but they were like, "Yeah, no, we're
Unless
leaving."
she was a meal ticket. Who knows?
So they totally up and left her.
Oh.
And so instead of her going back to an orphanage because she didn't want to do that again because that was a whole shit show, she decides to get married at 16.
16?
Yeah. So
To
she
who?
her neighbor. So she starts knocking on the doors of the neighborhood to
No,
see who
stop
would
it.
marry her. Okay, sort of. But she did marry her neighbor. Yes, Jim Doherty.
And how old was Jim Doherty?
Jim Doherty was 21 years old
And married a 16-year-old.
and married a 16-year-old. She like what are you
I
going
mean,
to do?
that was probably more acceptable back
She
then.
wanted-
but
she
still
had
not
no other
okay.
choice. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Right, which go to the sad part you were all saying, like, this is how she all went askew. They interviewed her later in life about that first marriage, obviously, that didn't work out. Her quote was, "I was dying of boredom the entire marriage," which I find weirdly devastating and like funny all at the same time.
I mean,
Because
she was 16.
right, I don't know what was happening there, but whatever. So, so the time she turns 18, 2 years later, she had already done more shit than like most of us had to deal with in our entire life. Let's be honest. So then in 1944, she's 18 years old, and her husband Jim has to get shipped off to the war because it's World War II, and
Okay.
he's got to go. So Norma Jean decides, what does a military wife do in 1944 if her husband goes to war?
Either becomes a nurse or joins the factory.
Factory. Done and
Oh,
done.
there you
She
go.
went to work in a munitions factory in Van Nuys, California, which is so random that we were right? I don't know. I think that's kind of cool.
Wasn't LA like an epic center during that time for?
Apparently it was.
Hmm.
So she's in the munitions factory. She's building weapons and bombs or whatever it is. And the story goes, a photographer walks in and he's going to do a piece on women in the home front, like helping the military men. And she immediately lights up in front of the camera, like freaks out. She's hooked. So totally knew she found her passion, like right away. Passion, back to our passion. That was it. But it's not like the photographer guy was, he wasn't like, oh, I found somebody. That's not how it worked. She just realized how cool it was. So he left. She went home and started taking all these pictures of herself, starting figuring out like what worked in a camera, what didn't work in a camera, like what the kids are doing nowadays on social media, right? Like figuring all that kind of shit out.
Yeah.
And she was sort of finding her character
Okay.
that we're talking about here.
Oh.
She started finding her
The
character.
persona.
Yes. Thank you. Persona. Much better word. Yeah. So she starts sending out all these pictures now and seeing like if somebody would take her, like for modeling or whatever. So she gets rejected by 20th Century Fox, then gets rejected by Columbia, then RKO Studios, which, fun fact, RKO Studio, the orphanage she stayed at, Los Angeles Home for Orphans, it was across the street. She would stare at the studio when she was in the orphanage, dreaming one day she would be there. Anyway.
She manifested.
Sad story. She manifested, but she got rejected.
So, they didn't take her.
Nobody took her.
Oh.
Right. So,
Okay.
so my point is nothing was easy. It's not like somebody found her. No. Bullshit. None of this happened. So she's banging on doors. So she starts modeling a little bit, small gigs, keeps auditioning for all these little parts. Basically getting up like us, going to work every morning, showing up, doing work during the day.
Grind. Here she was.
Yes, absolutely. And eventually in 1951, so I don't know, 51, 23 years old, 24 years old, Fox finally brings her in to start doing small little bit parts, 1 or 2 lines. But here's the thing. The audiences, even though she was only doing 1 or 2 lines, the audiences were eating it up. They loved her. So again, that whole camera, that whole presence thing. So roles increase little by little, like nothing major. By 1953, it's on like crazy. It totally explodes, and she's everywhere. Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. We were talking about it. How to Marry a Millionaire. She's on the cover of all the magazines, and she's officially the hot blonde sex symbol come 1953. Everyone's in love with her. That's the story.
How did she create this persona?
I don't know. She just strapped
why
it.
Marilyn?
Why Marilyn Monroe? Why the name?
Yeah.
Got it. Instead of Norma Jean. Would you like? Right. Okay. There you go.
But at the time, like Norma Jean, I'm sure was
Norma
like a
Jean.
cool, sexy name.
So the story was that both her and 20th Century Fox sort of knew like, hey, we need to come up with something better than Norma Jean. And there was a woman named Marilyn Miller who was a famous Broadway star back in the 1920s. And they said that she sort of looked like her. She thought she looked like her. Somebody at Fox. I don't remember what it was. So they're like, oh my God, Marilyn's awesome. And then she kept Monroe because that was her mother's maiden name. And she wanted to like have a connection to her mom. Yeah. And then alliteration,
so
Marilyn Monroe. So
totally ambiguous. There was
is,
meaning behind it.
Even though she's really Norma Jean Masterson. So go figure. Yeah, that's the story. That's Marilyn.
Oh, I love it. Wait, but you said that Marilyn was radical for the time.
Oh, she was radical.
What did she do?
She was totally radical.
Like, I mean, it just sounds like, okay, so she had a horrible childhood, got married young at 16, somehow stumbled into getting picked up by 20th Century Fox, started making movies, people loved her, adored her, she became the sex symbol, but like, what did she change? What did she...
Well, that's what everybody thought it was, yeah. So, okay, here's move number 1. Here we go, okay? 1954, peak fame after all these movies come out. But like you said at the beginning, since it was the 1950s, men were making like 20 times more than women. So you're absolutely right. Wherever you heard that whole bit was correct. So she was making about $1,500 per movie. And dudes, the guys were making hundreds of thousands of dollars already in that time. So not even fair. And she knew she was the biggest draw by far. I told you this woman was smart. She was like, this is bullshit. So she called him out on it. Absolutely walks out on 20th Century Fox. Height of her career. Miles Davis, same concept. Left, goes to New York. Literally just left them high and dry and said, I'm out. I'm going to start a career over in New York. Goodbye.
What was in New York?
Yeah. Here's what was in New York. She decided to open her own studio, her own production studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so 2 things, actually. So first, she studies method acting under Lee Strasberg, who is a super famous director and had the most iconic acting studio in America. So she goes and studies there for a while and like really learns method acting because up to this point, she didn't know anything. And then 2, she started her own production studio. She grabs her friend, some guy named Milton Green, and names it Marilyn Monroe Productions. Because it would be really weird if you named it Milton Green Productions, because of course nobody knows who the hell he was. But anyway, everybody in Hollywood then, obviously 20th Century Fox starts talking shit like, oh, she's never going to make it. Oh, this is never going to work, right? All the media was like, like everything bullshit. She's going to like want her old job back, all the shit. Because people love to hate. Everybody's a hater like that. So her new company goes and makes a new movie called The Prince and the Showgirl in 1957. She's out in New York. Starring her alongside Laurence Olivier, the famous actor Laurence Olivier. Okay. Decent movie. Fun fact, the only movie her studio actually ever made. I'll get back to that in a second. That wasn't the point. The point was now she had leverage because she had a movie. It was awesome. And all of a sudden, 20th Century Fox was like, oh,
we need you back.
Yep. Bingo. That's exactly what it was. So would you argue she was a dumb blonde? Or would you argue she knew exactly what she was doing? She had no leverage. She created leverage. They come crying back. They rip up her old contract. They come up with a brand new contract. She has all director rights. She has everything she wants. They change her entire salary structure. And now she's making $1 gazillion because she decided to make one movie and go out on her own. So I'm arguing she understood business a lot better than most people give her credit for.
Fair.
And it totally worked. So Subsequently, she now comes back to Hollywood, totally won. She makes the movie Bus Stop, massively famous movie, even more famous than like Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, and then ends up shutting down the whole production studio because she doesn't need it anymore because leverage, it all worked. Okay.
Smart
so far,
lady.
so good.
Smart
Very
lady,
smart.
man.
Very smart. Okay, that was the first one. All right,
Starts her own company.
starts her own company, creates
Relaunches
leverage, figures it
her-
out. Right.
yep.
Okay. Radical move for the time, right? For a woman in the
Yeah,
1940s, 1950s.
Starts her own
whatever you got.
production
Okay.
company, break away.
Done and done. So second one, we were talking about at the beginning, she studied philosophy at UCLA.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that.
Yeah, she homeschooled herself. She was amazing. So in her free time on all these sets, while she was in between takes, she was literally learning everything she could learn. Do you know her own personal library? How many books it had in it?
No. Was she
400.
Oh,
400. And I'm not talking fiction books. I'm talking classics like Tolstoy, Dostoevsky, James Joyce, like legitimate Chekhov, like real authors. Like, did you know she was like friends with Truman Capote? Truman Capote, like the most famous author in American literature, Truman Capote. Not, I knew Truman Capote. Like best friends with Truman Capote.
That's crazy.
You don't hang out with Truman Capote unless you're like.
Well, you got to be some sort of intellect for him.
You know
to
who else
wanna...
hung out with Truman Capote? Harper Lee.
Yeah,
To Kill a Mockingbird. You get that. Like
so she ran in the literary.
Yes.
Like
she
the
was
literary
literally
circles.
she was eating up, like learning all this different crap, and everybody thought she was just screwing off on set, and that not true at all. She was completely two different. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
But
right?
why didn't people know this about her?
It wasn't that people didn't know this about her. People didn't want to know this about her.
She didn't fit in that bubble.
So let's go.
That
Let's
part of
go
it
back
didn't
to
fit
the
in the
beginning
bubble.
where I said, like, what did we learn since 2026 from all this time when we haven't learned anything? People wanted a dumb blonde. A smart lady doing this didn't work. It screwed up the whole persona.
Well, because then you can't objectify somebody.
And bingo. And we needed someone to objectify. And I'm arguing she took advantage of that, was smart enough to recognize it, but then had that character, but then
filter cut
played.
that. Yeah,
absolutely.
In her normal
Absolutely,
life.
absolutely, yeah.
Then what's the third one?
Okay, third one I got to be a little careful with because the story's been told like 100 times, and honestly, it's got mangled over the years because this story I had heard before, and I don't want to blow it out of proportion, but it's an easy one to blow out of proportion. So let me just read what's actually documented. So 1954, Ella Fitzgerald, one of the greatest jazz singers in the world who's ever lived, Ella Fitzgerald, was being shut out of certain clubs because she was black. And Marilyn Monroe, who was at the time peak of her career, picks up the phone and uses her name to help Ella get bookings at a little club in East Los Angeles called Tiffany's. Super famous, totally awesome club. Not only that, she subsequently buys a front row table for every night that Ella's performing.
Wow.
She would go and just watch. She didn't get interviewed. It wasn't any pomp, wasn't any fanfare. She wouldn't talk to anybody. She just wanted to go and support a woman who was trying to make it, and she was recognizing other exceptional genius talent, and she was doing it in her own soft way.
That's cool.
Right. Which I think is amazing. The versions of the stories that are out there, like she stormed into the manager's office and she, threatened them that she was going to do away with their business and so on and so forth. All that's bullshit. This was basically one woman helping another woman out. And Ella Fitzgerald, there's actually a quote that Ella Fitzgerald said after Marilyn Monroe passed. She was an unusual woman, a little ahead of her time, and she didn't even know it.
Yeah,
and she always appreciated that Marilyn Monroe helped her with her career and helped launch Ella Fitzgerald, right? So I wouldn't say, radical for the time. I would say, what do you call it?
I mean, it sounds like she was like being an activist of
That's
her time, but not being an activist really, truly. It was just her being herself.
That's it.
She wanted to support another woman and
yes.
didn't maybe like that people were treating other people unfairly.
Yes.
An outside the box thinker.
Yeah. So I argue that's radical because she wasn't doing it for herself.
Right.
She didn't want to get recognized. Literally for anything. Well, I thought was totally cool. Okay. And then the last move is like, we sort of talked about it already, like with the character piece. This is my whole point that I'm sort of bringing home. And she knew how to make money. She knew the machine needed her to be a certain way to make money. And my argument of why I believe that this is true and not, oh, Peter, are you sure? Here we go. So in 1959, she makes this movie, Some Like It Hot.
Oh, yes.
Okay. Which essentially was another movie about her being a dumb blonde again. Okay. But if you watch this movie, she plays it so good, she can't be that dumb. She's totally bullshitting us, and she knows she's doing it the whole time. Bear with me. So one of her co-stars, Tony Curtis, super famous dude at the time, there's this famous quote from him. He says, "Working with her was incredibly frustrating. She kept forgetting her lines. In one scene alone, literally dozens and dozens of times. And it was only 3 words. Where's the bourbon? I mean, how do you screw that up?" That's what he said. So here's why am I telling you this? Here's the argument. She didn't screw up "Where's the Bourbon" 50 times. She didn't. She was doing it because she wanted people to think that she was dumb in real life. Because Tony Curtis got to the set and was playing a character on the set. She got to the set, was already playing her character before the camera rolled. So in order for her to do that, she had to screw up the line 50 times. So people would go, geez, she really is that dumb. She wasn't that dumb at all. Like zero. She was just playing into the machine, making sure that people were like, oh, okay, perfect. She's doing what we need her to do. You follow what I'm saying? Like she was milking the system that thought it was milking her. Hey, thanks for listening. If you like this content, subscribe, leave a review, and share with us your episode ideas. We'll pretend like they're ours and pass them off as our own. If you like this short and want to watch another, click here. If you want to catch a whole episode, click here.